So we have dealt with the settings of the edit type, but right now we're gonna work on instance. Right now I want to sketch an arc grid. So here I pick the arc and the first point and the second point or end point and then the radius in this way, like that. And after that, if I want to find the center of the arc, I select it, and then here actually in arc grids you can find center mark visible, so I check it and then the center of the arc will be marked. In case if you want to move the arc, you can select the center in this way and move your arc, or in this way. But here if you select align unfortunately does not support this. Or for example, if I pick measure, as you can see it is not recognized by measure and alignment. So I pick measure. As you can see, even if you press tab, nothing happens. So very well. So this was center mark visible. And the next one is a scope box. Actually I have explained the scope box in Revit Architecture, and you should have known this from before. In View tab we got a tool named Scope Box, which controls the visibility of datum elements, grids, levels, and reference planes in specific views. Actually, a Scope Box specifies your framework in your plans. For instance, I select a Scope Box and then I open level 1 copy 1 right here, and then I maximize the crop boundaries in this way, and then right click, reset crop to view extents to reset it to its default size in this way, and then I turn off the region and then 1/100 for a scale, actually 1%, and then I name the scope box, for example block A, in this way. After that I should adjust the height of the scope box. For example, I specify 12,000 millimeters, and after that here in the plan I sketch a scope box in this region in this way. If I open 3D view, we can observe the scope box. If I select it, block A with the specified height. I open copy 1 plan. Here I can select these grid lines in this way, and then set the selected grid lines in the scope box in this way. Constrain them to the scope box, block A scope box in this way. Check this out. I have constrained them to the block A scope box. Again I select them, right click, reset 3D to extents, or again right click, let me see. Actually maximize 3D extents, which is disabled since the grid lines are in the scope box, the block A. I delete the scope box, look, again I select them, reset to 3D extents, and then maximize 3D extents to get back to the default position. So if you sketch a scope box and then you can constrain the grid lines to the scope box, in this way you can specify them. And actually this is the name of the grid and it is clear. And note that the names of the grid should be unique. For example, here I have a grid line 3. I'm not allowed to name the another one as 3, since the name entered is already in used into a unique name, as you can see on the screen in the error. So you should take this into consideration, that a unique name for a grid line is important. And another important point here is that if this grid line, if I fix the name, for example E' in this way, if I make a copy out of this grid line, Control Z, I set E for this in this way, so I drag these to make a copy, F, I name this F1, and then I drag these F2, and as you can see the Revit is naming the other grids itself. Control Z, for example, I name this F', and then I drag it F2. Actually, if it is still set on the last one, it is named F2, so I should undo. Control Z again. I name this fprint and then copy in this way. Indeed, this is another point that symbols like prints, they are only considered by the users. Revit only supports the numbers and characters. And actually, this is one of the questions of the exam of Autodesk Revit. One of the questions of the Autodesk Revit would be subnaming the grids. So note this point. And let me tell you another point in this video about this part, which is about the measurement in grid lines. In grid lines, we usually use a line dimension, which is extended from one end to another end or to the other end. In this way, as you can see, a line dimension. And the another way is that to add a dimension from one grid line to the another grid. And this is the principle of the measurement of the grid lines, which is usually used. So here I set a measurement the space of between each between two grid lines.